Looks like you're live.
Yeah, it's going there. I am just thrilled. I just have to find my screen. Guess what? It worked. Okay, one more thing. Hi, live people. I'm fiddling with these things, so give me a second here. It's still new to me. Cindy knows how to do this stuff. I'm still learning, but click. Now I'm recording. Hi, I'm Bill DeYoung. You probably guessed that you're watching the Catalyst sessions for Friday. It's May the 8th. Cindy Stovall, who I think you're looking at there. Hi, Cindy. Say hi.
Hi.
There's Cindy. Cindy is our guest tonight. She has graciously allowed me to grab your attention for myself for a minute before we get started here. So, if I can figure out how to do that. Okay. What I wanted to say is that tomorrow, which is the 9th of May, is the 40th anniversary of the Sunshine Skyway tragedy in which a freighter knocked down the southbound span of the bridge. You probably know all that already. And if you've been reading the Catalyst and other news outlets, obviously, around here, everyone's kind of been talking about it. I wrote 5 stories this week about it. I also wrote a one-man play. It is called Captain Laro. It's called Mayday, Captain Laro and the Skyway Bridge. Now, I'm not the one man who's in the play. I've acted, but I wouldn't call myself an actor. I have a real actor doing this. It is a 70-minute one-man show in which Captain John Laro, who was the harbor pilot, the Tampa harbor pilot that day, steering some adventure and hit the bridge, and 35 people died. It is a one-man show in which he talks to the audience and tells them not only of his life and how he got here, but his experiences before, during, and after the incident. I wrote a book about it. I got to know Captain Laro, who had passed away in 2002, but I got to know him pretty well through the people that knew him, through members of his family. I know how he felt about it. I spoke with his lawyer in great detail, and he was, a lot of people don't remember that he was exonerated in the end, and was pretty much deemed it not his fault. There are a lot of extenuating circumstances that went on. But I still meet today. When I talk about the book that I read, I still meet people who will sort of say, oh yeah, I remember reading about that in the St. Pete Times. He was drunk, right? How can that idiot not, damn him to hell, Well, the truth is a lot more complicated than that. First of all, he was a teetotaler. He did not drink at all. Second, he was a professional harbor pilot who knew what he was doing. Thirdly, and most importantly, he got caught up in some really awful weather that came up suddenly. I would tell you to go and read my book, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about May Day. We weren't able to do the whole play on May the 9th, which is tomorrow. It's 70 minutes long. What we did was we videotaped what turned out to be about the first quarter of it. It's 22 minutes long. We did this professionally with Joel Friedman. Hey, Joel, from Two Hungry Dogs, who's a brilliant video producer and editor, had it professionally done. And tomorrow, which is the 40th anniversary, May 9th, we're going to show you that video. It is just the first 20 minutes or so of the play. The play gets into all kinds of things. It gets extremely dramatic. And Michael Horn, who is the actor playing Captain Laro, is phenomenal. My friend Roxanne Fay directed it. She and Michael and I were working together on making this happen. And we sort of decided, well, we can't do the live one now, but we want to do something on the anniversary, and that's what the video is. So Roxanne directed the video. I was standing around while we were doing it, trying to stay out of the way, and Michael does a brilliant job. So in closing, I've talked about this enough. It is tomorrow, May 9th at 7 p.m. You want to look for the May Day Captain Laro and the Skyway Bridge Facebook page. It will start streaming at 7. I'm pretty sure the video sticks around for a while after that. But if you want to watch it live, I'll be there, and we can talk if you want. I just wanted to say that. But for tonight's show, I'm turning the tables on somebody who interviews people all the time, and that is the lovely and talented Cindy Stovall, who's very patiently listening to me talk. Hi.
It's a fascinating subject, Bill. Thanks so much for having me. No, when you were on my live show, we included this subject matter in the PowerPoint, and again, we were talking about loving history. I mean, this is such an important part of our local lore.
Yeah.
And you've covered it so amazingly over the years.
Well, thank you. I somehow got through happenstance became like the guy who talks about the bridge accident. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn off this light because I'm starting to look like a Poirot clown here with this terrible light. Hang on a second. See, even though Cindy and I are both behind the scenes people, I still look too bright. We're vain enough to care about the lights and things like that. Cindy Stovall is the host of Beauty and the Burg, which she has done a podcast she has done for 6 years now.
6 years, 20
Okay.
years.
I want to go back though. You're from New York City.
I am.
And you're a nurse. Are you an RN? Are you?
Yes.
And you did that for many years in New York, a critical care nurse.
A number of years in New York and quite a few down here as well.
So that was your life. My God, that's a tough job, man. If I had a hat, I'd take it off to you.
Always critical care. In fact, I'm trying to reinstate the New York license because I'm officially retired. So I'm trying to reinstate licenses. Number one, because I can, selfishly, I can definitely use the money, but more importantly, I feel like I can be of help, and it doesn't feel good just kind of staying safe at home when I could be out there helping and using my skills.
So that never leaves you. I mean, you left nursing, what, 2013, 14, something like that?
Right at the beginning of 2014. And then I started I was taking care of my mother, actually. And I really needed a creative outlet. So the podcast, Beauty in the Burg, was born as a result.
So, you moved here in mid-'80s, 85, I think.
That's right.
You've been in St. Pete since 91. See, we do our research here.
I'm very impressed.
And you worked with All Children's Hospital. You are a pediatric nurse educator. Explain to us what that means.
Well, I started in the NICU. I was a NICU nurse. And then I moved to the recovery room, and they call it PACU. And then I was able to become the nurse educator for PACU. And that just means, or for perioperative services, which is pre-op and post-op, basically, everything around the actual surgery. And I would just help nurses keep up on their accreditations, on their continuing education credits, do whatever in-services came through. We rolled out a big data platform for charting that I was in charge of teaching everyone how to use things of that nature. So I wasn't doing patient care there for a time. I was doing nursing education.
I wonder if you ever met my mother. My mother was a volunteer there when she passed away in 2014, but she was one of the volunteers for almost 50 years. Her name was Jeanette DeYoung.
Was she? Did she come to the NICU?
She worked everywhere. I know she was in the pediatric for a long time.
Right, because mostly it would be the NICU.
But she worked everywhere, and I'm being selfish here by bringing this up, but I feel like Roy Adams. And Roy knew my mom really well, and Roy's a good friend. And anytime somebody who had some connection to All Children's Hospital, my mom was there for, I think it was 49 years.
Oh my gosh! Well,
yeah,
we could not have survived without our amazing volunteers. Yeah. I was always so grateful and posted a lot about the volunteers because they give you time to do your work, because you also want to be comforting these kids and doing what you need to do, and to have that extra set of hands, that nurturing volunteer at your side, means everything.
She was I know she started, oh my God, when I was like 10 years old in the snack bar. And I know she worked in pre-op, preparing the kits, the surgery kits. And I know she did a lot of stuff with babies because she's beautiful grandmotherly type, holding babies.
And I'm sure our paths would have crossed. I'm sorry that I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I apologize for that. But I'm sure that our paths would have crossed. I'm
sure. And you know what? If she was still here today, she never forgot a name or a face. And I'm sure she loved you. And if I could call her right now, you remember Cindy's? Oh, yeah. So listen, in the last few years that you did that, you were in St. Pete, and you described yourself once as like a pretty serious patron of the arts. You started looking around and going, this is almost as cool as New York, or cooler, but it's different.
when you grow up in New York, I was definitely a theater brat and spent a lot of extra time at the
Oh
Met.
yeah.
So places here like the Dali and the MFA that I call the Met of St. Petersburg, they mean everything to me. We have all of the best elements of urban living right here in a really much more manageable community, even though it's growing by leaps and bounds by the
Yeah.
day.
How long
But
will it be manageable? That's a good question.
yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah.
theater brat in New York City, so having the opportunity to see all the amazing local theater that we have here. Anytime I would be doing my shift at work and it was close to the weekend, all of my colleagues would come to me and say, "What's happening in the arts this week?" Because they knew I would know.
Yeah. Yeah. What was your favorite? Like in the let's say that in the pre Beauty and the Burg days before you were kind of professionally talking about the arts. What did you like? Was it you a Florida Orchestra fan? Was Free Fall even around then? I can't remember. Was it American Stage? What did you like the best?
Well, yeah, that's where I started going to American Stage first.
Yeah.
And then, of course, across the bridge to the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center. And of course, when Free Fall opened, I was thrilled and saw both Wild Party that they did at 620, and then their first production, I think, was Frogs,
Yeah.
their current location. So, I mean, theater is definitely at the core of my love of the arts, but I I love everything, and I love talking about everything.
Well,
So,
why did you start the podcast? I mean, is that why?
well, I mean,
Just because you love talking about everything?
it was a natural segue.
Yeah.
When my mother was declining, I was invited to do a Mother's Day show on another show, and I accepted because I had a lot of stuff to say about my mother. And it's
Mm.
ironic that we're right near Mother's Day now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as soon as I walked into the studio, I just felt immediately at home. And I went to the producer of Helium, the Helium Radio Network, Eric Remmel, and
Yeah.
I said, I have an idea for a podcast. And, I didn't necessarily know I wanted to do a podcast, but I knew I wanted to talk about the arts and have always been interested in broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I pitched the idea to him about St. Pete, and he said, well, our platform goes around the world. Why would you want to just keep it, so local? And I said, well, why do people watch Austin City Limits? I mean, I wanted to be the one, or at least be part of the crowd that was bringing that kind of attention. And in fact, I've had a lot of people email me and say they've come to this area or ordered a piece of art from a long way away because of
You're an
something.
ambassador. That's what you are. So, what were the first shows like? I mean, were you nervous? Were you terrible? Because you don't seem either of those things now.
Oh no, I have total butterflies. Maybe I'm covering well, but no, I was very nervous, especially that was a more in studio environment with the headphones and everything. So yes, I was nervous, but I enjoyed it so much, and that took over. And I always seemed to be able to come up with a question. I kept things, my whole approach is keeping things conversational. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that seems to be what everyone enjoys listening to. So
I would completely agree with that. What I find so interesting is that if you like, I wrote some things down here, but I didn't write any questions down. I just have some things to look at and go, oh, talk about We Are Family, which we will. But it's basically something, and see if this is how it works with you. Something you say will trigger something, the next thing I want to ask. Well, we're just going back and forth here.
that's exactly
I
right.
mean, would you say, how come you didn't become a journalist? I mean, if you had that inquisitive mind.
Let me tell you, my in senior high school, when I told my literature teacher I was going to nursing school, she was very upset.
Ah, so you almost were a journalist. Yeah. You have that kind of mind. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And I don't know, I guess I was thinking just more practically, what could I get done? And because I don't remember making a conscious choice to be a nurse. It was really much more of a pragmatic choice. And I love
Yeah.
people, and
Sure.
I've loved my patients, so I'm proud of my career. But now in this time, I'm getting to do what I probably was meant to do all along.
How many shows do you figure you've done? Yeah.
Almost 200.
Wow. And I saw some astonishing figures about the audience. So helium does obviously go around the world. So what like how many listeners? Throw some numbers at me. Impress us
The
all.
average tune-ins per show are about 15 to 20,000. I don't know how many of those people listen to the whole thing, but then locally, yeah,
They didn't listen to the one I was on.
yeah. Well, they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, on the replays, on the actual podcast, when they get it from the archive, because we
Yeah.
do it as a webcast premiere, as a broadcast, and then
Sure.
as a archived podcast, and then we get several more, 7 or 8 to 10,000 on those. So
Wow.
someone is out there listening, and we've been on a little bit of a hiatus with the COVID, but Helium Radio is coming back soon.
Let's talk about. I want to go back for a second to your role as an ambassador for St. Petersburg. I mean, you've been doing this for 6 years now. I'm going to go on a limb and sort of say, I bet you've never run out of things to talk about or people that you want to talk with.
No, the
200 shows.
It feels endless.
It just keeps refreshing itself and renewing itself, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
And the more things I become involved with, then the more I'm led to other wonderful artists that I want to talk to.
And your curiosity is endless. That's the thing. To be a journalist, to be a print journalist, a broadcast journalist, you have to be curious, you know. And I think the ones that fall by the wayside, I mean, God love them, but they you know, they're doing what they learned in school and they don't follow their instincts. It seems to me, from my end of this, that it's really all about instinct and caring about what the other person is saying and how they contribute. Yeah. Let's talk about, you said that was Helium on hiatus right now too?
Yes, well, with the COVID, but I believe that they've gotten some approval for some PPP money and you know, I don't know, I don't have an exact date, but it should be soon, and Beauty and the Burg can be back on the air. Thank you for so beautifully with these Catalyst sessions, filling that void, man.
It's because you're not around. That's the only reason anybody's paying attention.
It's been incredible, and you know I've been watching almost every night, so thank you.
Well, you know, some are better than others. The guests are always wonderful. I'm always sitting here worried about my terrible haircut or the lighting, and sometimes it doesn't go live. I mean, you know how it works. But so listen, you're doing a lot of writing now. You're writing with Creative Pinellas with the
in the Arts Coast Journal. So
the Arts Coast Journal, yes.
A cool piece coming up there pretty soon. I'm working on that this weekend. And I also am the arts writer for St. Pete Life magazine. And they took a break for the April-May issue because, you know, all the advertisers are down too. So it's hard to put out a beautiful full color issue to distribute to 20,000.
They're nice people. I think Marcia's great. I like those folks a lot.
Marcia's wonderful. Yes, absolutely. And Beth Ann, everyone's been great. I've been writing for them for 2.5 years. And but the June-July issue is on board. It's going to be called St. Pete Strong, and all of the articles will center around the incredible work that everyone is doing for the arts and to keep artists and performances afloat and moving forward.
Well, that was one of the reasons, really. That was the reason we started doing this, was to say, okay, you lost some gigs. What are you doing? I mean, let's talk about it and let's be sure people know about it. You write with David Warner too a little bit over at DuPont?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have written for DuPont Registry as well.
Hi, David. Yeah. Great, guys. There's a great, the arts community here is so wonderful and so vibrant and strong, but there's a really good support system too. And, not just journalists, but, patrons and supporters. I did a lot of work, as you probably know, with St. Petersburg Opera Company. And, it always, the people who love that organization, just like the people that love, say, the Imagine Museum or Chihuly or the Dolly, they're passionate about it, or TFO. They're passionate about it, and it's like a family.
Yes, very much.
What do you think, Cindy? Is that because we're not in a place like New York or San Francisco, that it's small enough to where it can feel like a family? I would see the same people not all the same people, but the same people at events. And yeah, I'm here to support SPO, or I'm here to support the Florida Orchestra. Familiar people, family.
No, it's
people.
personal.
You feel like part of the family now. You must, because I always see you at the same events I go to.
This is true.
Yeah.
And speaking of events, if you don't mind, I would love to talk about a couple of them.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I get them in. So,
we have enough time for you to get them in. I've been watching the clock.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I can ramble, so it's really, I'm watching out for myself. So Beauty in the Burg, as you know, on April 3rd was going to do an around the world variety show that ended
we took the night off to watch your show.
That was so nice. You wrote about it, you took the night off, and then it didn't come off. That there was
that was pretty sad. Yeah.
So now Creative Pinellas has been lovely enough to take up the mantle. Yeah. And we are back on again on May 22nd at 7 p.m. on the Creative Pinellas Facebook page. We're doing a
Becca McCoy, Roxanne Fay, Ned Errol Snell, Bob Devin Jones, Matthew McGee, Lisa Kirchner, the usual cast of some of my favorite people.
But we've got a little twist in this one too. Obviously, Jordan, my baby, is coming in from London, and Michelle Dowdy from off of her Les Mis tour and off Broadway. But we're going to have a great thing going on in the corner. Laura Spencer, the amazing visual artist, is going
to be, Laura's great. Yes, I did read about it.
Creating a piece down in the corner from beginning to end during the course of the show. And then afterwards, we'll 50-50 auction it off to go to the charity of her choice.
See, Laura, that's great that you mentioned Laura, because she's one of those artists that I might have been through Chad Miser or somebody, but I just like, this is neat. You start talking to her. She's got a great story. Everybody has a great story. I've written about Laura too, and I made a note to mention that. So it's Beauty in the Burg around the world.
Yes.
And it's May 22nd.
Correct, 7 p.m.
On the Creative Pinellas Facebook page, is it?
Facebook page. It'll be a Zoom live broadcast.
Okay, and you're also involved in the one this Sunday. Are you involved in We Are Family?
Creative Pinellas, who I am writing about for the St. Pete Strong issue of St. Pete Life.
Right.
They're doing, as you said, We Are Family at 3:00, and they've got some amazing guests. They've done so much. They have the Arts In platform where people can put in content. They're paying for the content. People can put in content, and you have kind of this centralized archive or library where people can go and find all kinds of amazing entertainment. And of course, the proceeds from We Are Family are going to support the Community Relief Fund that they are partnering with the Arts Alliance to do these grants.
It's an amazing thing. I remember either Barbara or John Collins called me like the day they started hatching that. You gotta know, and oh my God. This is Sunday. Now you said 3:00. The pre-show is at 3:00.
Pre-show, yes, 4:00. And I've got it at saying 4, but I went to my original 3. So
no worries. But so Alex Harris says I'm doing the pre-show.
Yes.
What is that? Is he going to sing for an hour? I mean, Alex has been on here. He's great.
All I know is he's got hosting responsibilities, and I'm not sure whether I'll be a part of hosting throughout. I'm on the committee, but we'll see exactly what they want me to do.
It's like, Helen Hanson French was on with me last night, and La Lucha before that.
Right.
And I think they videotaped what they're doing, right? So it's not all completely live happening, right? It's kind of like May Day. They recorded it, Isn't that right?
Mine's going to be live because we don't have any issues with timing. There's not a whole band. Becca will be singing. Roxanne will be doing a reading.
Yeah.
And I don't see that it will be necessarily imperative to do a pre-record. We'll see how it goes.
Did you see Uncle Ben's, Bob Devon's thing?
I did. I watched every amazing minute of it. It was incredible.
How is this city doing this? And how is this city reaching out and touching people virtually? I'm not talking about me, you, us sitting here. I'm talking about all the artists and the creative people. They're finding a way.
It was like sitting in an audience. The set was beautiful. The costume changes were seamless. He's brilliant, and I'm so happy he's going to be on my live show as well.
Oh, man, it's going to be great. So let's recap because we're going to be out of time here in a couple of minutes, but there's one more thing we need to do. We Are Family is Sunday, pre-show at 3, show at 4, and this is there's an admission to this, which you can find out if you Google it. You go to Creative Pinellas website or to their Facebook page.
Creative Pinellas. Yeah.
It's a virtual arts festival, and it is for such a good cause for the Pinellas Arts Relief Fund, and that is this Sunday, Mother's Day. And your show, which is Beauty in the Burg Around the World, is I always want to say Beauty in the Burg, like Professor Kingsley on the paper chase,
Right.
my John Houseman voice, but it doesn't translate. It's May the 22nd at 7.
Correct.
And that is also on the Creative Pinellas Facebook page.
Correct.
And it just keeps getting better and
And
better.
make sure you look for your July issue of St. Pete Life magazine as well.
Absolutely. Cindy Stovall, always a pleasure to speak with you. And we continue to wish you the best and then some, as they say. I think you have a special thing you'd like to take us out with. And I'm putting the spotlight squarely on you.
I know. I've been deciding whether or not to do it, but I'm going to just dive in because it's a special song between me and Jordan. We performed it together once before. Mother's Day is coming up, and it's about a mother or a mother's love, and also it's got some positive messages, I think, that are valid during this time. Sondheim has been uppermost in my mind this week after his 90th birthday. So
yeah,
this is for a mom in heaven, and it's for Jordan. And apologies in advance to Bernadette Peters. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Mother cannot guide you. Now you're on your own. Only me beside you. Still you're not alone. No one is alone. Truly, no one is alone. Sometimes people leave you halfway through the wood. Others may deceive you. You decide what's good. You decide alone. But no one is alone. People make mistakes. Fathers, mothers, people make mistakes. Holding to their own. Thinking they're alone. Honor their mistakes. Everybody makes one another's terrible mistakes. Witches can be right. Giants can be good. You decide what's right. You decide what's good. Just remember, someone is on your side. Someone else is not. While we're seeing our side, maybe we forgot they are not alone. No one is alone. Hard to see the light now. Just don't let it go. Things can come out right now. We can make it so. Someone is on your side. No one is alone.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you for starting my weekend with that. And it's so inspirational.
Thank you.
Send that out to Jordan and to your mom and to my mom and to moms everywhere, to everybody. We will get through this. God bless you, Cindy.
You too, Bill. Thanks for everything you're doing.
And same to you, my love. We'll see you very soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.